In today's news video, we cover F-16 fighter jets headed to Ukraine, Pentagon officials quietly pushing for approval, NATO braces for direct confrontation with Russia, rearmament is top priority, mystery blast rocks Iranian military plant, was it the US or Israel behind the drone attack? Shocking development, Russian First Guard tank army relocating for winter offensive in Ukraine. Enjoy watching and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on important news. A contingent of military officials is quietly pushing the Pentagon to approve sending F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine to help the country defend itself from Russian missile and drone attacks. Politico reported that there is renewed optimism in Kyiv that U.S. jets could be next up after the rapid approval of tanks and Patriot air defense systems. "I don't think we are opposed," said a senior Department of Defense official about the F-16s, speaking on condition of anonymity. The person stressed that there has been no final decision and Ukraine has yet to declare that fighter jets are its top priority. Another person familiar with the conversations between Washington and Kyiv said it could take weeks for the U.S. to make a decision on shipments of its own jets and approve the re-export of the F-16s from other countries. Background: Alexei Danilov, Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, hinted that international partners would provide Ukraine with a multifunctional F-16 light fighter. Yuri Iyanet, spokesman for the Ukrainian Air Force, said that securing new multifunctional fighter jets was a top priority. Iyanet explained that multifunctional aircraft, such as the US-made F-16, F-15, and some of the F-18 models or their European equivalents, can be used to perform different tasks, effectively fight air threats, including cruise missiles and UAVs, but also carry out airstrikes against ground targets. President Volodymyr Zelensky believes that after the decision to supply tanks to Ukraine, Ukraine should be supplied with aircraft, and this is an important task. The manufacturer of American F-16 fighters said it was ready to supply its aircraft to European countries, which could re-export the fighter jets to Ukraine. Admiral Rob Bauer, chair of the NATO Military Committee, has said that the alliance is ready for a direct confrontation with Russia. Rob Bauer insists that NATO is prepared for a direct confrontation with Russia and admits that rearmament is the alliance's top priority. He also acknowledges that the organization has lost its monopoly on military initiative. Bauer recalled that during the NATO summit in Madrid last year, the alliance decided to establish 4 additional multinational battle groups in Bulgaria, Hungary, Romania, and in Slovakia in response to Russia's actions in Ukraine. This is an important signal for Russia that we are prepared if they decide to go after NATO. This is a red line. If there is a red line, then it is the Russians crossing our borders, the chair of the NATO Military Committee said. Bauer said that NATO countries ought to gear civilian industrial production to the needs of the military and expressed his support for the idea of a war economy in peacetime. He added that he believes that Russia's strategic objectives go beyond Ukraine, with Moscow wanting to claim the territory of the former Soviet Union. When asked whether NATO feared escalation in the Russian-Ukrainian war, Bauer said that while the beginning of the Russian aggression constituted an escalation, Ukraine's desire to reclaim the territories that rightly belong to it is not an escalation. If the Russians stop the war today, there will be no escalation, Bauer stressed. Previously, on January 19, Rob Bauer said that Russia will remain a threat to NATO even if its forces are defeated in Ukraine. There was an unsuccessful attack by small drones against the Defense Ministry industrial complex, and fortunately with predictions and air defense arrangements already in place, one of them struck, Erna said in a post on Twitter, citing the country's defense ministry. The air defense system of the complex was able to destroy 2 other drones. Fortunately, this unsuccessful attack killed no one and minor damage was sustained to the roof of the complex. Iranian media speculate that the blasts were the result of attacks by the United States or Israel, but Tehran has offered no official information on who it suspects behind the attacks. Iran is a military ally of Russia, having supplied the Kremlin regime with Shahid flying bombs which Russia has used to attack Ukrainian cities and civilian infrastructure. Tehran denies supplying the drones, but there is overwhelming evidence that these denials are false. There are also reports that Russia has struck a deal with Iran for Tehran to supply short-range ballistic missiles in exchange for military cooperation, but there is no indication that Russia has taken delivery of any such missiles yet. Russia has been waging a campaign of mass missile strikes on Ukrainian civilian infrastructure since early October, attempting to deny Ukrainians supplies of heat, power, and water in the depth of winter. Drones attacked a military plant in Iran's central city of Isfahan, Tehran said on Sunday. An explosion has occurred in one of the military centers affiliated to the Ministry of Defense, the deputy head of security for Isfahan Governorate Mohammad Reza Janizari told the semi-official Fars news agency. Janizari said the explosion left some damage, but fortunately there were no casualties. The state news agency IRNA later said the explosion had been caused by small drones. The Russian military is relocating its heavy forces in preparation for a winter offensive in the Donbass region of eastern Ukraine, specifically in the Luhansk Oblast. The forces include units of the elite 1st Guards Tank Army, which has been recovering from damage caused by Ukrainian forces during previous operations. The 1st Guards Tank Army is made up of 2 frontline divisions, the 2nd and 4th Guards Motor Rifle and Tank Divisions, and a few separate brigades, with a total of around 25,000 to 30,000 troops. The 1st Guard Tank Army has a strong presence of T-72, T-80, and T-90 tanks, and BMP-2 and BMP-3 fighting vehicles, making it one of the most powerful ground combat forces on paper. However, poor leadership and logistical issues have plagued the army, just like all Russian forces in Ukraine. The army suffered significant losses in its initial efforts to capture Kyiv and again in Kharkiv. After being beaten twice, the army settled in Belarus for a reset. However, it's unclear how effective the army will be in its current state, with much of the personnel being mobilized and operating older equipment. The 1st Guard Tank Army's deployment to Luhansk suggests a major attack is imminent. The timing of the offensive may coincide with the recent delivery of advanced tanks and fighting vehicles from Ukraine's allies, including the US, Germany, UK, and Sweden.